And who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, but right now they have no leader. Okay? But this is the thing the Republican Party has to understand too. Both parties lost in the last election.
AOC. What? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life.
Bill Maher just sat down with former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and sparks flew. But the real fireworks erupted when the talk turned to AOC and the growing buzz about her potential 2028 presidential run. Maher didn't just laugh off McCarthy's wild fantasy of AOC leading the ticket. He tore it apart, then calmly and mercilessly explained why Democrats are sleepwalking into a 2028 disaster. We've lined up every fiery moment from that exchange. So hit subscribe and let's break it all down.
They gamed the system. They changed it.
And who do you see on the horizon for 2028 in the Democratic primary?
Right now?
Yeah.
Bernie and AOC.
No.
They got the biggest crowds.
That doesn't matter.
It won't sustain itself, but right now they have no leader. Okay? But this is the thing the Republican Party has to understand too. Both parties lost in the last election. Trump won, okay? And I don't know if that's going to transfer. We should have won 4 more seats in the Senate. If you looked at the last 70 races for the Senate, 69 follow exactly the way
I think it's Moore versus Youngkin. That's where I see it.
Youngkin would be.
Youngkin is going to go back to adjacent, and then Vance and Jr. will fight it out for that crowd.
But AOC and Bernie, and who's at the top of the ticket?
They're going to lead right now.
Who's at the top of that ticket, Kevin? Because if it's not Bernie, he's going to be vice president and then wait his turn?
No, it would be.
It's like Bill Maher physically recoils at the mere thought of AOC leading the Democrats into 2028. And honestly, who can blame him? Yet her name is everywhere. Don Lemon's busy hyping her up. Kevin McCarthy seems oddly intrigued. And a growing roster of Democratic heavyweights keep floating her as their golden ticket. It feels like the party is betting everything on charisma and social media clout instead of real competence. Even the comment section blew up, dragging Maher for torching the Bernie AOC dream team, which for some is still the ultimate progressive fantasy. But this goes way deeper than just AOC. It's a full-on identity crisis for the Democrats, torn between doubling down on woke progressivism and risking another electoral meltdown or hitting the brakes before they crash their idealistic brand straight into irrelevance, with Maher stoking the backlash as it grows louder every day.
Bernie's been running each time. I'm just saying who's in the lead right now. I don't think that's how it ends up.
But big crowds don't necessarily mean who's the right candidate. When I started
but it drives where the ideas are going to go. It's going to drive the money for a while.
It doesn't make them the winner.
It doesn't make them the winner. You'll have to wait till you'll get 2 years out, and then you'll start seeing these governors that start showing solutions. You also have to know, what is the issue going to be? Are we going to have a foreign policy issue? Are we going to have an economic issue? And who's been the best and leading in that? But right now for the Democrats, who's going to lead for the next 2 years? The money is going to... AOC outraised everybody in the House.
And it's all small donors.
It's all small donors. Yeah. And this is exactly where Trump was when no one gave him a chance at 17. He outraised everybody else. So that's where the base is at, right?
And there it is, the heart of the problem. Elections aren't just popularity contests where the loudest cheers or the fattest war chest guarantee victory. Kamala Harris in 2024 is the ultimate cautionary tale. She checked every progressive box, hauled in a staggering $1.5 billion, had celebrities fawning over her like it was Coachella, and packed stadiums like a bona fide rock star, only to suffer one of the most crushing defeats in recent memory. Bravo. That's exactly what Maher is drilling into. The left's obsession with optics over substance, mistaking noise for vision and spectacle for strategy. And don't even get started on the Trump contrast. Whatever you think of him, Trump didn't just draw massive crowds. He delivered a message that resonated. It felt real, not ripped from a sociology syllabus. He didn't make moderates squirm with fringe takes. He was, for better or worse, unapologetically himself. Unlike Kamala, who somehow managed to be everywhere yet invisible at the same time.
We do know what AOC will not be doing, and that's running for the top spot on the Oversight Committee, if you can put a D0 here. She says Jerry Connolly stepped aside, who had beat her in the race for ranking Dem on Oversight, and she says she's not running this time. She says, quote, "It's actually clear to me that the underlying dynamics in the caucus have not shifted with respect to seniority as much as I think would be necessary, and so I believe I'll be staying put at Energy and Commerce," unquote. Because if she would be ranking member, then she couldn't serve on Energy and Commerce.
If you can cut through the word salad, here's the real story. AOC isn't pushing for the top spot on the Oversight Committee, and it's not hard to see why. The Democratic Party still worships at the altar of seniority, stacking the deck against her from day one. She learned that the hard way last year when she lost out to 75-year-old Jerry Connolly. But here's the kicker. Going for oversight would mean giving up her influential seat on the Energy and Commerce Committee, a powerful perch she has no intention of abandoning, especially if a future presidential run is anywhere on her radar. And let's be honest, every move AOC makes is as much about optics as it is about power. Sure, oversight brings TV moments and viral clips, but Energy and Commerce gives her real policy muscle on hot-button issues like climate change and corporate regulation. Trading that for endless partisan shouting matches isn't exactly a boss move when you're playing the long game and maybe eyeing the White House. Still, people like Bill Maher and Greg Gutfeld aren't buying her as the Democrats' next big thing. And here's why.
AOC finally responded proudly concerning a high school yearbook photo that proves she grew up in a wealthy suburb. She said, "See, I told you I went to high school."
And I can tell you, I know that when I was waitressing and struggling to put food on the table, for a while there, I did. I tried to stop caring. I tried to just keep my head down, work my shifts, and accept that this is just how things are. But that is no way to live, Arizona. It's no way to live.
So, if you haven't heard, AOC's real name isn't exactly AOC. It's Sandy Ocasio. And a recent deep dive into her past has unearthed some inconvenient truths. Turns out the polished Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez persona we know today didn't exactly spring from the gritty Bronx hardship story she loves to tell. Records actually reveal a far more comfortable upbringing than she lets on. And that famous waitressing job she always cites as proof of her working-class grit. Let's be honest. Plenty of privileged college kids and trust fund babies have slung burgers or poured drinks for a semester. In America, that's more of a coming-of-age cliché than a badge of real poverty. It doesn't disqualify her from weighing in on economic issues, but it does chip away at the carefully crafted, from the struggle image she leans on so heavily.
AOC. What? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life.
Interestingly, and alarmingly, people have bought into her carefully curated narrative, swallowing it whole without a second thought. They see her as a bold, fearless crusader, a woman who stares down power and is somehow destined to save America, all because she supposedly clawed her way up from hardship. Never mind that much of that adversity is exaggerated or downright misleading. Here's the kicker. The story she's selling crumbles under real scrutiny. Her background isn't the gritty survival saga she spins, and her meteoric rise owes far more to clever image crafting than to any rock-solid set of principles. Yet so many remain entranced by her flashy word salads and fiery theatrics, mistaking manic rants for eloquence and rehearsed outrage for genuine courage. What they hail as bravery is really just branding. And at the end of the day, this isn't leadership. It's performance art with a political twist.
So by now you heard that AOC, among others, were arrested last night. She truly is an American hero. It was brutal, taken out in cuffs. Well, technically, her shirt had cuffs. Maybe French cuffs.
This all unfolded during a protest against the Supreme Court's 2022 decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Unsurprisingly, AOC and her woke entourage were anything but thrilled at the idea of unborn babies actually having a chance at life. And that, right there, is the political circus Bill Maher's been warning about, where rigid ideology steamrolls over basic common sense. AOC, like Kamala Harris, is simply too woke to lead the Democratic Party anywhere near electoral victory because their politics aren't rooted in unity or pragmatism. They're fueled by Twitter applause and activist buzzwords, with every position carefully engineered for a viral moment rather than a blueprint to build a stronger country. And while the far left keeps cheering them on, the average voter, the people who actually decide elections, are left feeling alienated, confused, or just plain exhausted. If Democrats keep pushing forward candidates who trade real policy for political theater, then 2028 could make the disaster of 2024 look like just a warm-up act.
This nonsense from like AOC that he should be impeached is just absurd. Absurd. There's no... Okay, get back to me when you've read the Constitution or get a law degree, because you sound like an absolute idiot. There is absolutely no ground to impeach the president. He 100% was within his constitutional authority and his congressionally authorized authority to do what he did on Saturday. Okay, but as for whether it's a good idea, that's a debate we should be having. And look, you know, if we could get congressional approval of the specific action, fine, I'm okay with that too. If you want to bring it to Congress, go ahead and see how that goes. I don't think it's necessary, but go for it if you want.
Aside from her fixation on all things woke, Maher also seems to suffer from a chronic case of Trump derangement syndrome, a condition that leaves her completely unhinged whenever the former president's name comes up. Case in point, her support for one of the most absurd political stunts in recent memory. Yet another attempt to impeach Trump, this time for the so-called crime of deploying nuclear strikes in Iran. In reality, that move was about deterring conflict and protecting assets, not launching an actual war. But in AOC's world, that's somehow impeachment-worthy. Not because of some noble quest for justice, but because of sheer obsession. She and her allies aren't chasing accountability. They're chasing clout, headlines, and social media buzz, even if it means ignoring real issues for endless political theater. If anything, her relentless anti-Trump tirades show just how unserious she is about real governance. It's all spectacle, all drama, and zero actual delivery.
Donald Trump is a criminal who was found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud, liable for sexual abuse. Of course he's lying and abusing and manipulating the stock market too. When he talks about and criminals, he should look in the mirror.
Okay. Clearly saying that Donald Trump is a racist. Sorry. She also thinks he's a racist. He's all the ists. But here, she's in deep trouble because he was not found liable for rape. And George Stephanopoulos just had to pay ABC some $15 million to President Trump to settle a defamation lawsuit for saying...
Honestly, this might just be the wake-up call AOC desperately needs. A lesson in sticking to facts and showing a little restraint before grabbing the mic. Her endless barrage of half-baked hot takes and emotional outbursts might earn her standing ovations on social media. But in the real world, reckless words come with real consequences. And while this moment should absolutely serve as a reality check for her, it's also a broader warning. Get your facts straight before jumping on the outrage bandwagon. Frankly, I'd welcome it if Trump sued her into oblivion. Not out of spite, but to inject some much-needed accountability into a political culture where figures like AOC can lob baseless smears without paying any price. It's time to retire the slander playbook and bring truth back into our national conversation because enough is enough. AOC's theatrics, misinformation, and Trump obsession don't just undermine her credibility. They spotlight how unfit she is for serious leadership. Her embellished origin story, reckless accusations, and constant woke grandstanding might electrify her base, but they do nothing for the country. America deserves leaders grounded in facts, not fanfare, and it's long past time we demand better. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this.